NASCAR Whelen Euro Series returns to the track at Brands Hatch for American Speedfest on the 1st and the 2nd of June. It's one of the highlights of the season for the fans and the drivers as they race around this iconic 1.2-mile circuit. Last year the circuit provided some fantastic bumper-to-bumper, door handle-to-door handle racing action, some pure racing. Who will claim the win at American Speedfest 7? Who will take maximum championship points? Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Brands Hatch for the NASCAR Grand Prix of the United Kingdom. This iconic circuit, which first opened for motor racing back in the 1950s, has held the likes of Grand Prix. It was the site of Ayrton Senna's first ever car race and, of course, was one of the host venues for the London 2012 Paralympics. But this weekend, it's the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series that is out on track. Today, we'll see round 5 for the championship. Tomorrow will be round 6. It's a short circuit. It's only 1.2 miles or 2 kilometres. And what better person to show us around than the youngest ever driver we've had in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, just 16 years of age, the young Scotsman, Ben Creaner, takes us round track.
Hi there, I'm Ben Creaner. I'm the driver of the number 33 Chevrolet Camaro in the Elite 2 division. I'm going to be taking you on board a lap of the Brands Hatch Indy circuit here at the American Speedfest of 2019. Coming into turn 1, it's all about being on the left before sweeping into the right. You want to make sure the car is straight, you clip the curb and power early. It's a really fun start to this challenging lap. Turn 2 is a nice straight and simple braking zone. Nothing too complicated there, and if you get the corner right, it's really rewarding. Power on it as soon as you can in the exit before straightening the car up again for turn 3. Again, use all the curbs both sides without breaching the limits. Down the back straight, you want to set the car up. You want to run to the right hand side of the track before sweeping in to start the final complex, your turns 4 and 5. All the curb on the inside of turn 4 before cutting back again, second gear into turn 5. And it's all about squeezing the power out as much as you can without losing control of your car on the exit. It's a really fun and enjoyable track, and I think NASCAR did a good job choosing this one for my home race, and I can't wait to carry on racing here this weekend.
There you go, an onboard lap with Ben Creaner, which really gives you an idea of how short the circuit is, but also the fantastic undulations that we have here in the United Kingdom, in the south of the country, in Kent. The cars for the qualifying sessions are just getting ready now. What we're going to see to start with is a 10-minute qualifying session for the Elite 1 division. At the end of the 10 minutes, the top 12 cars will go through to fight it out for pole position in the Super Pole session. But it's only 10 minutes for qualifying, and Super Pole, it's only 5 minutes for the Super Pole session. Then we'll repeat that process with the Elite 2 cars, but for the Elite 2 cars, slightly longer qualifying for them, such are the way the regulations are written for 2019. They will have a 20-minute qualifying session, and then the same process of the top 12 going through to fight it out for pole position and Super Pole, which will be held over just another 5 minutes. So you can see in beautiful sunshine here in Brands Hatch, the cars lining up there in the garages. Pole position last year went to the driver who was runner-up in the championship, Fred Gabion, the Frenchman for RDV competition. There's the number 32 car. That is Jacques Villeneuve, who is on board that car for this year. His co-driver just busy chatting to him there, which is Florian Venturi. So the number 32 Go Fast Racing Chevrolet has on board the 1995 Champ Car champion and Indy 500 winner that year, and of course the 1997 F1 world champion. Number 33, that is the Michu Motors car of double former champion Luca Lasserre, the Frenchman. He was champion back in 2009 and 2010, Luca Lasserre, who has never had a pole position here. He would dearly like to see what he might be able to do. They've had a few issues with the car in the earlier rounds, and in the combined free practice times yesterday, Luca was 13th quickest out of the 29 cars that we saw in free practice, but the cars now beginning to file their way down pit road. Now, there is an order and a process to this, and that is based on combined practice times. They had 2 free practice sessions yesterday, both which took place in very similar conditions yesterday, maybe slightly cooler, maybe a bit more of a breeze yesterday. It's ideal conditions here for qualifying. Nice warm ambient temperature, very light breeze, but the times they set yesterday give you the order that they will go out of pit lane today for qualifying. So it was the number 54 Chevrolet from Cal Racing of Alan Day, the back-to-back champion, the reigning champion, who was fastest in free practice yesterday. He posted a fastest time of a 49.154, but that would have been on old tyres, one would have thought, because they are very much limited to the amount of tyres that they are allowed to utilise in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. For this weekend, every Elite 1 driver gets 4 brand new General tyres, which are our new tyre partners for the 2019 season. It's exactly the same for the Elite 2 drivers as well. 4 brand new tyres to utilise over qualifying and over the course of the 2 races that each of the drivers will have over the course of this weekend. So Alan Day was quickest in qualifying, so his number 54 Cal machine should be at the very, very front of the queue that is sitting there waiting to head out in towards qualifying. So any second now, there he goes. Look, there is the yellow car with the black stripes down the centre in the hands of the Israeli driver, who has had pole positions here before, but he's never had a pole in a qualifying session. He's always gained the pole position as a result of setting the fastest lap in the first race of the weekend to give him pole for the second. So see what he might be able to do in this one. He's claimed 2 wins here at Brands Hatch in the past. See small adjustments being done to tyre pressures there. That's number 99 that's having its tyres adjusted. That is Ellen Law, one of the 2 females that we've got on the grid this weekend in the Elite 1 division, because not only have we got Ellen Law, the only ever female to have won a race in the German touring cars in DTM, where back in 1992 at Hockenheim she took a victory at the wheel of her Mercedes E190E. But also we have got, and I'm delighted to say it, the returning American Jennifer Jo Cobb rejoins the championship this weekend. So Alan Day was fastest in qualifying. The car that's behind him in the queue in the pit lane is Loris Hazeman's leading junior driver. He drives the Hendricks Motorsport Ford, the black car with the Dutch stripes down the centre of it. But whilst the cars are ready to head out of pit road, there's still lots and lots going on off circuit here at American Speed Fest 7 here at Brands Hatch. It is a proper family day out. We have just had a qualifying session for one of the championships that's known as Bernie's V8, which literally means if it's got a V8 engine, you can run it. And it's a whole American-themed event that has been meticulously organised by the Motorsport Vision team here at Brands Hatch, in conjunction with Team FJ, who run the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. So you can see the crowds enjoying the sunshine. You can see the heat haze as well, which gives you an indication as to, it looks as though summer might finally have arrived here in the UK. But as to who is going to grab pole position, we simply don't know. So Fred Gabion claimed it last year. He was 3rd quickest in combined practice yesterday, so his car will be 3rd out of pit road. We've seen Anthony Koompen, who isn't driving at the moment, gain a couple of pole positions. Back in 2015, Nicola Rocca, who was 5th quickest in the free practice time, the number 24 car, there you can see it in pit lane. He has had pole position before, back in 2015, and will returning 3 times champion Ander Villarino has claimed poles here before. Watch out for his number 48 car as well, in the hands of the Spaniard, who comes into this weekend lying 5th in the championship standings. He won the first 2 races at Valencia, but had a bit of a poorer weekend last time out in northern Italy for the Italian NASCAR Grand Prix at Franciacorta. So with the cars all queuing up down pit road, it looks as though the queue of cars is almost formed there in pit road, which means the indication will be given very shortly by Philippe Godet, the race director, that the cars are able to head onto circuit. And what we may well see, ladies and gentlemen, in this qualifying session, if a driver is inside the top 12 and feels in conjunction with his spotter and his team that he's likely to stay there, rather than keep plodding round pounding in the laps when you're already potentially through to Super Pole, they will bring the car into the pit lane as early as they can in this qualifying session, save the tyres so that they have less laps on them heading in towards Super Pole, and then as a consequence of that they'll have less laps on them when they head in towards racing later on. So I would very much doubt the cars at the sharp end are going to stay out for the full 10 minutes. They'll find a clear bit of tarmac, they will punch the quick lap in, and then they will try and save the tyres for the rest of it. There's a few British drivers in the entry list over the course of this weekend. Alex Sedgwick and Scott Jeffs, who've been doing the full championship, are returning. Sean Hollenbay, who's been doing the full championship, is out there, but he'll be in the Elite 2 division, as will Scott Jeffs. But we do have returning to Elite 1 this weekend Ant Wharton-Eales, the former Renault UK Clio Cup champion, who did the first round at Valencia but sat out Franciacorta. But he'll be hoping for good things at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. He was 14th quickest yesterday and 4th of the junior drivers that we have. Junior drivers are aged under 25 years of age who enter the Elite 1 division. So green flag is given, cars heading out onto the circuit. There you can see the undulation. Look at the way that the circuit dips away through Paddock Hill Bend and then crests up towards Druids. This is turn number 3, known as Graham Hill Bend. The car's braking downhill. Very easy to run wide at that part of the circuit, but they are all utilising this outlap in reality just to weave from side to side. Look at them trying to warm the tyres as much as they possibly can before they then get things underway and unleash the 400 brake horsepower V8 engines around this 1.21 mile or 1.93 kilometre Brands Hatch Indy circuit. So called the Indy circuit because of the visits that we've had here historically from the IndyCar Championship. So now we're going to start to see the first quick laps already beginning. The difficulty will be with 29 cars entered for Elite 1 this weekend around a 1.2 mile circuit. Finding clear tarmac is going to be absolutely critical because it is a reasonably narrow circuit. There are a couple of straights on it. You've got Halewoods Hill, which is what the cars are heading up now, but that's a very short straight. You've got at the bottom of the circuit the Cooper Straight, but again that is very short. And then the start-finish straight is the Brabham Straight, but it's not really a straight. It has a very shallow arc to it all the way around, so it might be a short circuit, but there is no resting for the drivers. And the likes of Alan Day there and Loris Hazemans at the wheel of the number 50 Ford Mustang, and Fred Gabion at the wheel of his Chevrolet, the 3 times runner-up in this champion, the pole sitter from last year, that car. They are all taking at least a couple of laps to try and warm the tyres. So the first times that have come in are about 30 seconds off what we will expect the pole position to be. So they are taking their time to make sure that everything is up to temperature. And of course, whilst they're doing that, the clock is ticking away, so we've not really had a quick time in as yet. And now there are only 7.5 minutes of this 10-minute qualifying session remaining, hence why it is so critical for the teams and the drivers and the spotters to work with the drivers to get some clear tarmac. There is number 11, Stinis Longjin. He's been going well so far in this year's championship. He heads downhill in towards Graham Hill Bend. You can see the sunshine glinting off that fantastic livery on the PK Car Sport Chevy for this year. Stinis Longjin second in the championship coming into this weekend, the Belgian driver. Here is number 9, that's Gianmarco Ercoli. He is ahead of Stinis Longjin on track. Gianmarco Ercoli won one of the races here last year and is so far the only ever driver from the Elite 2 division to step up to Elite 1 and win a race overall in Elite 1. So Brands was a happy hunting ground for him last year. So Longjin over the start-finish line. 6.5 minutes of the session to go. Fred Gabion tops the times by 77 thousandths of a second from Loris Hazemans. It's a 50.641 for Fred Gabion. Loris Hazemans second quickest. Alan Day at the wheel of the number 54 just comes up to third quickest. Gianmarco Ercoli is fourth. Alex Sedgwick is fifth. As we look up towards the braking area for Druids, and you can see already it's rather busy up there. So the car's trying to find clear bits of tarmac, but so far not able to. That man there has, though, because Fred Gabion, who was on pole position here last year, at the moment is quickest in this session. Remember, it won't give him pole. It will simply put him as the fastest car through to Super Pole, and there they'll have to set another quick lap time. Fastest lap is now Loris Hazemans, who's gone to the top of the time. Stinis Longjin goes that little bit quicker. We're looking at the Solaris Motorsport car of Francisco Cini. There is number 90, which is Alex Sedgwick for Brax Racing. He'll be hoping for good things at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. Snatch breaks up at Paddock Hill Bend. That's number 27, Tomo Ferrando, the former Elite 2 champion. And is it looking as though it's a good lap from anybody? Stinus Longines tops the times at this stage. You can see the huge train of cars heading up towards Druids Corner, but some cars in and amongst the batch of others, and as yet don't seem to have been able to find the clear bit of tarmac that they are ideally looking for. You can just see the undulations of the circuit, the way the cars dip away. There is number 48, Ander Villarino, twice a race winner so far this year, 3 times a champion at the wheel of that largely red and yellow Racers Motorsport. Alexander Graf goes all through the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend. The Swede at the wheel of the Memphis racing car gathers up the moment. Stinus Longines, now for PK Car Sport, still tops the times, and now he's got his teammate Nicola Rocca behind him on circuit. Less than 5 minutes to go. The number 11 Chevy in the hands of the very rapid Belgian, who is due to be a father in August of this year for the first time. Pushing on, we've seen his father Bert go well in the Elite 2 division this season, but it's not Bert that's out this weekend, it's just son Stinus Longines at the wheel of the number 11, and he's doing a cracking job at the moment. A 49.640 is the fastest time in this session currently. He goes over the start-finish line. Can he improve on that lap? Yes, he does, a 49.526, so it's another new fastest lap for Stinus Longines. Alan Day and Loris Hazemans are following each other round the circuit by the look of things, so they are working together at this stage. But for Alan Day, only 8th quickest, Loris Hazemans 4th, so it's not quite working for them at the moment. The rather dusty sidewalls of the number 77 Memphis racing car of Alexander Graf, who was hoping that he might be able to put in a good performance in qualifying. He was 4th quickest yesterday, but the gravelly moment cost him a couple of tenths or so on one of his qualifying laps, and he currently is only down in 16th position. There's the racing engineering car, new team to the championship this year, but they've been hugely successful in single-seater and sports car racing over the years. Number 88 is Romain Iniesta, who has previously here claimed fastest laps and wins and pole positions as well, but Iniesta is, as things currently stand, sitting 4th, so got work to do as well as he carves his way past Jennifer Jo Cobb, the American returning to the championship this weekend. So Romain Iniesta looking good to go through into Superpole with 3 minutes remaining. Who is on the bubble at the moment and not likely to make it through to Superpole? Well, Luca Lasser, double former champion, is 12th, and it's only the top 12 that go through at this stage, so he needs to find something there. Amazingly, number 78 Mark Goossens, Formula Ford Festival race winner here at Brands Hatch, also not going to make it through to Superpole. Neither is Alex Sedgwick or Ander Villarino at this stage. But the quick times now coming in, and Nicola Rocca goes to the top of the times. Alan Day, that car there, has just gone 2nd quickest as well. So it's a 49.437 for Alan Day, but that is not quite the quickest time of the session. Alan Day, though, is looking as though he's got fairly clear tarmac on this one. Well, he's put the quick lap in. That should see him safely through to Superpole. So with 2 minutes to go, wouldn't surprise me if he were to park the car maybe at the end of this lap and head back down pit road. We'll wait and see, because he's just heading up towards Clearways and Clark Curve now. And pit lane entry is on the right-hand side. Is he going to peel off? Yes, he does. I thought he would, yep. So 2 minutes to go. He's done enough to see him through to Superpole. There is no point taking more life out of the tyres. So he heads down pit road. It looks as though Nicola Rocca heads down pit road. The number 77 car of Alexander Graf still continuing round, because he is 13th quickest and needs to do something at this stage. Salvador Tinio Arroyo is another driver who I'd expect to see right up there, actually. And where is Salvador Tinio Arroyo? Only 20th quickest, so work to do there. And now, of course, the car's heading into pit road. It's a race really in pit road. Those that come into the pit lane and abort the qualifying session nice and early will be the first to get from one end of the pit road down to the other, queuing up ready to head out into Superpole. Last year's race winner, history maker, number 9 Gianmarco Ercoli, the Racers Motorsports number 9 Ford Mustang. He is 9th quickest at the moment, so is on a bit of a knife edge as to whether he's going to go through to Superpole. It's so close in the Elite 1 division. We have got thousandths of a second separating everybody. In fact, such a short circuit, would you believe the top 23 cars are separated by less than a second? Just going to show how close it is. And number 36, Ulysse Del So, the Elite 2 champion from last year, heads down pit road. It's unfortunately for him going to be another weekend where he doesn't make it through to Superpole, because he is currently 17th quickest with only 30 seconds to go. And there are still some drivers out there that need to find something here, and one of which is 3 times champion Ander Villarino. He is only 19th quickest. Jacques Villeneuve is not going to make it through to Superpole either, so he is just outside. Villarino has completed, in fact, Villeneuve is 13th, yeah, so he needs to find a whisker, really, does Jacques Villeneuve. But with the checkered flag about to come out, it does look as though Villeneuve, Sedgwick, Alexander Graf, all of whom we would expect to get through to Superpole, may well not make it here. So checkered flag comes out, and looks as though it's certainly going to be Nicola Rocca and Alan Day going to be the quickest 2 heading through to Superpole. But what does the top 12 look like? 12th at the moment is Francisco Cini for Solaris Motorsport. He'll be a very happy Italian if he makes it through, particularly at the expense of some other very, very quick drivers that today it's just not going to happen for them. So Nicola Rocca, the quickest in the session, he will go through to Superpole at the wheel of the number 24 PK Car Sport car. Second quickest and through to Superpole, number 54, the back-to-back champion, the reigning champion Alan Day. Third and through to Superpole, the number 11 PK Car Sport Chevy of Stinis Longines. Fourth and through to Superpole will be number 50, Loris Hazemans. Fifth and through to Superpole, last year's pole sitter, number 3, Fred Gabion. Sixth, and put the quick lap in at the end, the former Formula Ford Festival winner at the wheel of that car there, number 78, Mark Goossens. So it looks as though he may well have won the race to get all the way down to pit entry to be first out, Mark Goossens. Seventh, and also popping the quick lap in the end to get through to Superpole, number 33, the Frenchman, the back-to-back champion from 2009 and 2010, Luca Lasserre. Eighth and through to Superpole, number 88, Romain Iniesta for Racing Motorsport. Ninth and through to Superpole, number 46, Ant Walton-Eels rejoining the championship. He's scheduled to join me in the commentary box for our Elite 2 race on Sunday. 10th and through to Superpole, last year's winner and the first and only driver so far to have come out of the Elite 2 division, step up to Elite 1 and win a race, number 9, Gianmarco Ercoli. 11th, number 66, what can I say about this guy, Lasse Sorensen? Staggering, absolutely staggering. Did his first NASCAR Whelen Euro Series weekend in the Elite 2 division at Franciacorta. In his first ever NASCAR race, he won his race. He, this weekend, is committed to both Elite 1 and to the Elite 2 division. And, well, even in his first Elite 1, which is a very, very competitive series, he, by the look of things, has made it through to the Superpole session, Lasse Sorensen. A big guy. He's only 22 years of age today, but he's a big guy. He's about 6'4" tall, and amazingly used to race single-seaters. He was the French Formula 4 champion back in 2014. Quite how they ever got him into a single-seater, I'll never know. He's a very tall chap. And 12th and through to Superpole is number 12, Francisco Cini. So drivers that didn't make it through, so this now sets the grid from sort of 13th backwards. In 13th place, 32, is Jacques Villeneuve. 14th goes away with number 90, Alex Sedgwick. 15th, 64, Salvador Tinio Arroyo. In fact, there's a shuffle in the order there as one driver loses a time by the look of things. Things are just bouncing around by the look of things on my timing sheet currently. I think what's happening is that some drivers are potentially losing their best laps. So we'll wait and see what the rest of the grid looks like, because our timekeepers are now preparing for what is going to be a very short, sharp 5 minutes for Superpole to decide and establish what the first 6 rows of the grid will look like for our first Elite 1 race that is scheduled to take place local time in the UK. We'll get it underway at about 1:20 this afternoon, but the stream goes live at around about I think it's 1:10 local time here in the UK, so that will be sort of 2:10 Central European summertime. On it up on the Solaris Motorsport Chevy, Francisco Cini. Hopefully that's just to check things over rather than there be anything more worrying about it. And you can see it's only the Saturday, it's only qualifying, but one of the grandstands here already looking rather full at Brands Hatch. And just look at the heat haze, ladies and gentlemen. It is a very, very warm day here in the southeast of the United Kingdom. And with some of the cars already being pushed back into their garage now, the top 12 from that session will remain out. It looks like the bonnet's now been put back down again on the Francisco Cini car. Shares the car with the other Israeli driver that we have in the field this weekend, Nava Tala. Nava, who has actually within days just graduated as well, so a very young but talented racing driver who has joined us in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series this year and shares that number 12 car with Francisco Cini. Slightly worried looks on Florian Venturi's face, knowing full well that the car he shares with 1997 Formula 1 World Champion Jacques Villeneuve was not quick enough in the hands of the French Canadian to get through to Superpole. Villeneuve will be bitterly disappointed with that. We saw him on the podium finishing in 3rd place overall in both of the races in northern Italy at Franciacorta, but the green flag waves, which means we're about to get 5 minutes of Superpole underway for the Elite 1 division. Out goes the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford Mustang of Loris Hazemans, a driver who would dearly like to grab pole position. We do return to his home country for racing this year, with the Dutch flag down the centre of it. Loris Hazemans. Venray will be, of course, our Dutch location, but he has family links with Belgium as well, which we will visit for the finals at Zolder in October. After Brands Hatch, the next of the rounds will be our first ever visits to the Czech Republic of Most for the Czech Grand Prix. So cars heading out onto circuit now, with 29 cars out there for the first part of qualifying and only 12 for Superpole. Your ability to find clear tarmac should be greatly increased, and therefore we should see some very quick times coming in. Number 88, Romain Iniesta, looking to see what he might be able to do. Remember, he has had a pole position here before, Romain Iniesta, but that was as a result of setting fastest lap in the Saturday race to give him pole for the Sunday race. He's not had a qualifying pole as such, but he's had fastest laps and he's had a win here before. See what he might be able to do. Nicola Rocca has claimed a pole position here before. He's at the wheel of the number 24 PK Carsport Chevy 2015. He claimed pole position in the qualifying and then subsequent Superpole sessions, and it looks like he is on a quick one early doors in this one, because the tyres are already up to temperature and in the hands of the 25-year-old Italian who's been racing in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series since 2013. What might he be able to do on his first flying lap? He's about to come over the start-finish line and break the beam now, and for Nicola Rocca it is a 49.562 for Nicola Rocca, which for the moment means that he is on pole position. But of course there's only himself and one other car at the moment, Stinus Longines, that have popped a quick lap in. Alan Day comes through and is 4th quickest, because Fred Gabillon moves up to 3rd. Loris Hazemans moves up to 3rd now. Gabillon down to 4th. Alan Day down into 5th place. Mark Goossens comes through and is now down in 8th place as Romain Iniesta and Luca Lasser go quicker. Gianmarco Ercoli up to 4th, the winner from last year, at the wheel of the number 9 machine. But Stinus Longines is who we're looking at now. We've seen a quick lap put in by Nicola Rocca. This is the sister car to it from PK Carsport, the second of the 2 Chevys that they're running in this year's championship, and in the hands of Stinus Longines, who has been really focused over the off-season on his training, his diet, his mental fitness as well as his physical fitness, and it's paying dividends on track as he heads on to pole position with a 49.440 for the Belgian. Stinus looking to see whether that is going to be good enough at this stage. It's only a 5-minute session, there's only 2 minutes to go, and Stinus Longines is on pole position. Number 54, Alan Day, you can see the front of the nose dip as he dives onto the brakes heading up in towards turn number 2, which is Druids. There is Loris Hazemans, who is only 4th quickest currently, sliding the car. You can see the tail end of the Hendricks Motorsport Ford Mustang on the very edge of adhesion as he got it dancing around the corner. Beautifully grabs the apex down at Graham Hill Bend, runs a little bit wide but not too much. Minute and a half to go. Hazemans 4th quickest in this qualifying session currently for Superpole, remember, so this decides the front 6 rows off the grid. Alan Day, the reigning champion, about to complete a lap. He is at the moment 2nd quickest. Can he find enough to get himself onto pole position? Over the start finish line he goes. The answer is no. A slightly slower lap from Alan Day that time through, just a 1/10 of a second slower, but he needed to find another 1/10 of a second on top of his previous best, so that was 2/10 off pole in reality, and now he's got only 2 more laps to throw everything at it. Mark Goossens now up into 4th. Francisco Cini moves up into 5th at the wheel of the Solaris Motorsport Chevy. But Alan Day, nice and neat and tidy. A little bit too wide there, I would have thought, just coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Bounces over the curve, but he for sure wouldn't have lifted off the throttle, keeping it flat out. We're looking at the Brax garage where Alex Sedgwick is chatting things through with the team, not having made it through at his home NASCAR Grand Prix to Superpole. He'll be very disappointed with that. But are we going to see Alan Day pop in a quick time? Stinus Longines over the start-finish line. That was a slower lap from him, which suggests he's building to another quick lap. So might have something more up his sleeve here, the current provisional pole sitter. but he's only 12 1,000ths on pole position. As up to second quickest comes Loris Hazeman, so Stinis Longines clinging on to pole by his fingertips at this stage. This needs to be a quick lap because somebody might steal pole away from him. And at the moment, it's that car there that is closest to doing so. 12 1,000ths of a second slower was Loris Hazeman's over the number 11 PK Car Sport machine. So Stinis Longines has got to keep pushing on this lap. The clock has ticked to 0. The checkered flag will be coming out, but has anybody got anything else that they can throw at qualifying for the Elite 1 Division Race 1 for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series? Spit of flame from Loris Hazeman as he gets off the gas and starts to feed the throttle in round through clear ways up towards Clark Curve onto the Brabham Straight over the start finish line. Can he find the 12 1,000ths of a second he wants as he goes over the start finish line? The answer to that is going to be no by the look of things. You can see the graphic on the left of your screen. The only shuffle in the order was a little bit further down where Mark Goossens and Luca Lasserre found a bit more pace, but it does look as though Stinis Longines is heading towards pole position at the wheel of that car there, the number 11 PK Car Sport Chevrolet, in the hands of the former Elite 2 champion from 2016, is heading to pole position here for his first ever Brands pole position in the Elite 1 division. So Stinis Longines on pole. The number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford of Loris Hazeman's will line up alongside him on the outside of the front row of the grid for the race that takes place later on this afternoon here in the UK. But for Stinis Longines, he will be really pleased with that, and he will see what he might be able to do. Brands has been a kind circuit to him in the past in the Elite 2 division, but for Elite 1, well, that is his first Brands Hatch pole position. And I think even if you look back through the Elite 2 history for Stinis Longines, I don't think he's actually ever had a pole here at Brands Hatch. No, he hasn't. And he's never had a win or a fastest lap either. So it doesn't matter which division you look at, that is the best qualifying result we've ever seen for Stinis Longines. So we'll wait and see. No, so the Elite 1 cars having come in, let's just quickly, before we concentrate then on Elite 2, because those will be out very shortly. So Stinis Longines quickest, the number 11 PK Car Sport car. Second quickest was number 50, Loris Hazeman's. Third quickest for number 54, Alan Day. He'll be disappointed, but at least it means he starts on the inside line, heading up towards the first corner, which is probably the best place to be. Fourth quickest was number 4, former pole sitter here, Nicola Rocca, at the wheel of the 24 PK Car Sport machine. Then it's Solaris Motorsport and number 12, Francisco Cini, who was 5th ahead of racers. Ford Mustang, number 9 of Gianmarco Ercoli. 7th was 78 Mark Goossens for Brax Racing. 8th for Michu Motors is double former champion Luca Lasserre. And 9th was number 46 Antwater Niels ahead of Romain Iniesta, Fred Gabillon and Lassie Sorensen, who actually only did, I think, an outlap and an inlap, didn't actually set a time in that Super Pole session. So that should give you, in reality, the front 6 rows of the grid, and now means that of the 3 venues that we have visited, we have had 3 different pole sitters in Elite 1, because it was Ander Villarino in Valencia, it was Alan Day in Franciacorta that claimed pole position, and it is now Stinis Longines that claims pole here at Brands Hatch. So we can see there's Navor Talla looking very happy, very pleased indeed. He's about to take over the number 12 car that's being vacated by Francisco Cini. A driver who has literally, in the matter of the last 48 hours, graduated from college, so he can now fully focus on his racing efforts rather than having to dovetail it with his studies as well. And Navor Talla, in terms of his pace yesterday, he was 21st quickest, the rookie. Lots and lots and lots of rookies in Elite 2 this year, but that is taking nothing away from the quality of the field. I think the quality of the rookies we have this year is better than ever. They might be classed as rookies when it comes to driving NASCARs, but the experience that they have is second to none. Leading the championship coming into this weekend is the Swiss driver, Giorgio Maggi. He is a rookie, and well, in terms of what he's done this year, he won the first ever race that we had at Valencia. So he will be hoping that he might be able to keep what has been quite a consistent start to the season for him going. A win, he's had a 3rd, he's had a 4th, he's had another top 10 on top of that, has Giorgio Maggi. And at the wheel of his car, he'll be seeing whether the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford that he takes over from Loris Hazeman's, who we've just seen qualify, we'll see what he might be able to do. Say he is a rookie, but we've seen him racing in ADAC Formula Masters, in Formula 4, in GT, we've seen him in Blancpain and both the European and Asian Le Mans series. He actually did a full season over in a single-seater championship that's called the Avalon Formula in China, where he was the champion back in 2015. So we class him as a rookie because he's not raced in NASCAR before, but that's a fair amount of experience to have under your belt. And second in the championship coming into this weekend is another rookie as well, which is Vittorio Carelli. And, well, again, if you sort of look at the quality of the rookies that are coming in, Vittorio Carelli is another driver who is certainly not short on experience. He takes over the number 9 Racers Motorsport Ford Mustang that we've just seen Gianmarco Ercoli in. There is Mark Goossens chatting away to Jerry de Vert for Brax Racing. You see Mark looking rather warm, returning to what is the venue for him that saw him claim the Formula Ford Festival back quite some years ago now. In reality, it was 1991 that he won the Formula Ford Festival here at Brands Hatch. You can see the fantastic pit lane building and the podium that we'll be using for all the support races over the course of the weekend. But the Elite 2 cars, which can head down pit road in any order, there's no specific order for the Elite 2 cars to head out into qualifying. It's whichever order they get down to the bottom of pit lane. We don't consider their combined practice times from yesterday. Had we have done that, it would be the number 32 Go Fast Racing Chevy that would be at the front of the queue. There is 78 Brax Racing, the Ford Mustang, Jerry de Vert, who is this season just concentrating on the Elite 2 division. Previously we've seen Jerry racing in both Elite 1 and Elite 2. So now he's only working with one of the divisions. It gives us the opportunity to grab him at some point this season and bring him into the commentary box with us. Being pushed out now onto track is Scott Jeffs, British driver, former Mini Challenge champion. At the front of the queue, it's the number 31 Cal Racing Chevrolet SS that's at the front of the queue. That is the car that's driven in the Elite 1 division by Mauro Trione, the hugely likeable Swiss Italian. But for this one, it's a driver that we've seen out with us, but he's changed teams for this weekend. That's the Indian driver, but he's based in London. So I was talking to him yesterday and said in reality it's his home NASCAR Grand Prix as far as he's concerned. He might be Indian by nationality, but he lives just a few miles down the road in London. Advait Dioda is first in the queue. The number 27 car that we can see there on our screens, that is Pierluigi Veronesi. Again, a chunk of racing for him in a whole host of different things over the years. There's number 90, Scott Jeffs, ready to go, the former Mini Challenge champion. Number 70 for this session has Mirko Schultes on board, who is not short of experience as well. He might be 54 years of age, but we've seen him claim class wins at the Le Mans series and class wins at Le Mans as well in the past as Mirko Schultes, who owns and runs Michu Motors and drives that number 70 car. 27, as says Pierluigi Veronesi, ex-Italian GT racer. The number 23 for this session is going to be Ian-Eric Varden, who did a couple of NASCAR Whelen Euro Series races with us last year. Number 69, Michael Bleekie-Molan, used to race for Ram and ATS in Formula 1 back in 1977 and 78. I don't think actually ever qualified for a Grand Prix, but was a Grand Prix driver. The number 77 Memphis racing car has the Swede Freddie Hemborg on board. The number 8 car this time is taken over by Nicola Risitano. Nicola Risitano driving that number 8 Racers Motorsport Chevy, claimed to win his first ever NASCAR Whelen Euro Series win at Valencia. And so far this year we have had 4 races in the Elite 2 division and 4 different race winners, and it is the case in points that, as ever, the Elite 2 division is the most unpredictable division. We've had 2 different pole setters from the 2 pole sessions that we've had. One was Myatt Snyder, he claimed pole in the Valencia, the American. And Florian Venturi at the wheel of that car there, the number 32 car, claimed it last time out at Franciacorta. So can he look to grab pole position here, Florian Venturi? Looking back through the former pole sitters, I don't think actually in the Elite 2 division we've got any drivers out in the Elite 2 division that have previously had a pole here, because last year it was Guillaume de Flandre. He's not racing with us last year. Guillaume Dumoulin the year before. Guillaume is concentrating on the European GT4 Championship this year. In 2016 it was Salvador Tinio Arroyo, but we've just seen him out in Elite 1. In 2015 it was Florian Renaua, he's not out. In 2014 it was Marsilio Canute, the Italian, and he's not out. So Yeah, since the setting up of the different divisions, I think whoever claims pole for this one, it will be their first Brands Hatch pole position as well, a bit like we've just seen in the Elite 1 division for Stinis Longines. But remember, for Elite 2, 4 brand new tyres, the same as Elite 1, but they've got a 20-minute qualifying session, a longer session for them because they get slightly shorter races this year. For the Elite 1 race later on, it's 38 laps. It's just 30 laps for the Elite 2 division. So in terms of track time, whether you're an Elite 1 driver or an Elite 2 driver, you get the same track time. It's just that the focus is put on qualifying for Elite 2, and they have slightly shorter races as a result. So we go green then for this 20-minute qualifying session for the Elite 2 division. So not necessarily as many cars, because the cars that are being run by the team's champions from last year, RDV Competition, we only see their 2 cars out in Elite 1. So Fred Gabion and Ulysse Delceau, when they jump out of their car, they just park it up and it doesn't get handed over to another driver for the Elite 2 sessions. I think they are probably the only exception that we have. All the rest of the cars, other than those 2 that we saw out in Elite 1, will be out in this one. So 29 cars for Elite 1, 27 cars for Elite 2. Some of the drivers staying on board though. So I mentioned earlier on that we've got the likes of Lasse Sorensen, who drives the number 66 in Elite 1. He will also drive in this one as well, so he's now had the opportunity to sample the circuit this morning, see whether that might give him the opportunity to steal the march on everybody else. And also the number 98, the Motorsport 98 Ford Mustang of 57-year-old Eric de Donker, is also back out in his hands again as well. Another driver who, again, lots of experience, Eric de Donker. He started his career in motorcycle racing, did Eric de Donker, then went on to race in the BPR Sports Car Series, which was sort of what took over from what was then the defunct World Sports Car Championship back in the early part of the 1990s. Went on and raced in FIA GT and Le Mans as well. Finished 8th in the Elite 2 Championship standings back in 2015, Eric de Donker, but he sort of always does partial seasons now. It's only the second of 3 events that we've seen Eric de Donker out at. That's the car to watch out for in this session. Florian Venturi claimed pole position last time round at Franciacorta. He's got traffic to deal with this time through. The first flying lap is in from Advait Dioda, but he was, of course, first out of pit road, and that is just in reality his first lap, so the times should tumble. We were down in the combined practice times at a 49.7 was the fastest time we saw from any of the Elite 2 drivers over the course of yesterday, and that was that number 32 Go Fast Racing Chevrolet Camaro Florian Venturi that posted that, so we would expect him to be right at the sharp end. There is Advait Dioda, the very likeable Indian who came out of the Elite Club Championship, which is sort of a separate championship that we don't have here at Brands Hatch this weekend, but it will be back later on in the year. He was a champion in that last year, and at the moment is looking to do good things here. The American Myatt Snyder, though, has set the quickest time, and that is taken away instantly by Advait Dioda, who goes even quicker, 51.2, but that is still a way away from what we will expect pole position to be. Advait posted a 50.456 as his best lap yesterday in free practice, and remember, they will all be on brand new tyres for this qualifying session. The only 4 tyres they get for the weekend as well, so you can push them, but equally as much you've got to look after them as well. These fantastic general tyres that are provided to all of the cars this year. Most of the teams now finding that sweeter setup with the new damper and the new springs that they're running for this year, working with the tyre, and we're now starting to see all of the drivers and the teams getting to grips with it. There's Eric de Donker, a driver that races in both Elite 1 and in Elite 2, the 57-year-old Belgian. Nice and easy to spot that one, black with its day-glow orange livery, the Ford Mustang. There is de Donker at the moment. He is 12th currently. Let's have a quick look now. It's Jerry de Vert that is 12th. Eric de Donker will be a little bit further down through the order. Vittorio Carelli goes to the top of the times. So Eric de Donker is 5th currently, so he has put in a quick lap. Number 9, Vittorio Carelli, has gone to the top of the time, so there is the number 9 car working his way through traffic on this lap though, so that's not likely to post an improvement. He's lost pole in the meantime as Giorgio Maggi manages to go that little bit quicker. He's at the wheel of the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport car, but remember, for a lot of these drivers the focus is making sure you are inside the top 12 and therefore going to make it through to Super Pole. Well, for the moment, it's so early on in the session, most of the drivers will stay out there, or if they do head to pit road, they'll have a few little adjustments done and then go back out, because in a 20-minute session there is time to do that. Over the start-finish line goes Vittorio Carelli, the number 77 Memphis Racing car, taken over by Freddie Hemburg for this session, is following him around the circuit. You see how much the circuit drops away there at Paddock Hill Bend. This is the car that at the moment has set the fastest time, Giorgio Maggi, who is the championship leader, remember. But no longer has he set the fastest time. It is Valencia race winner briefly, Nicola Risitano, that set the fastest time instantly for Giorgio Maggi to go even quicker. So for the moment, as you would expect, the fastest lap times are bouncing around. And, well, even since we've said that, we've had, what, 2 more fastest times come in. Freddie Nordstrom and then Florian Venturi has gone back to the top of the times. So all of the times bouncing around. And it's a close session again. Again, it's only thousandths of a second that separate the first few places. Florian Venturi, though, has popped in a time that does see him now a quarter of a second quicker than Freddie Nordstrom. There is number 46. That is local driver Sean Hollenby, almost racing in his backyard this weekend. AMD Tuning, who is the company he owns and runs, lying second in the British Touring Car Championship. They're based at Dartford, which is literally just a stone's throw away from this circuit. As into the pit lane comes Florian Venturi. He has posted what was the quickest time of the session. It has just been bettered by Freddie Nordstrom. It is great to see Freddie back in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, setting a little bit of history today, because he is the only driver in all of the divisions that has competed in every NASCAR race we've had here at Brands Hatch. So he is back for, yes, it's 2012, isn't it? So that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19. 8 years on the trot he has been part of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series Speedfest weekend here at Brands Hatch. And it's the first time he's raced a car since this event 12 months ago, he was telling me yesterday. So he feels a bit rusty. You'd never think so, would you? Because at the moment he has set the fastest time in this session. Cars now, as I suggested, starting to dive for the pit lane. So into the pit lane comes Freddie Nordstrom, having posted the quick time. He's happy with that at the moment. That's Florian Venturi by the look of things, studying the timing to see as to whether he needs to respond, whether he can sit patiently behind the wheel of the car and save the tyres, or whether he needs to go back out and gather his thoughts and have another go. Batch of cars coming down in towards Graham Hill Bend, including number 90 Scott Jeffs, who is currently 11th quickest at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. And there is Giorgio Maggi, who is building to a quick lap again here. This is a quick lap from Giorgio Maggi. You can see him finding the space, and he's now accelerating the Hendricks Motorsport number 50 Ford onto a quick lap. Currently third in the times, Giorgio Maggi, but that is off, and that's Naver Talor that's gone off. That is at the exit of Paddock Hill Bend, where he sort of lost the tail end of the car, and you can see the telltale tyre marks as he's spun to the infield. So yellow flags in that area. You can see the cloud of dust as he's, by the look of things, gone through the gravel and come back out. And with those yellow flags being there, in theory, all the drivers should ease off, and we shouldn't see a great deal of shuffling in the order, which is an enormous shame for one driver, Giorgio Maggi, who was looking to try and get going. Right, so the session has been stopped, so car in a dangerous position. The session has now been stopped, which means that gives them the chance to recover the stricken number 12 Solaris Motorsport car out of harm's way. Naver Talor bringing about the red flags, the 2 times Israeli karting champion, who did the recruitment days for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. They have recruitment days every winter at a couple of venues, one in France usually, one in Italy, which is Franciacorta, where prospective drivers can come and sample the cars and understand what it's like to be part of this fantastic NASCAR Whelen Euro Series family. And that is one of the drivers who did exactly that. Jacques Villeneuve, the 1997 Formula 1 World Champion, of course, Indy 500 winner, also did one of the taster days over the winter and has worked with Team FJ to create a couple of small changes to the car since his arrival. So he was a double podium finisher at Franciacorta last time through, and it's fantastic to have the likes of Jacques Villeneuve and Ellen Law, of course, joining the championship this season, as it was equally as wonderful to have Bobby Labonte, the former NASCAR champion and the first driver to win championships in the second and top tier of NASCAR. He was in for the full season last year. He did a one-off race at Brands Hatch in 2017 at Speedfest. He did return this year. We saw him at Valencia for the first race, but hopefully that's not the last we'll see of Bobby Labonte in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, because he is a wonderful human being and gives his time freely to the fans, which is what it's all about as we travel our way around Europe as part of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Next event, as we say, will be on the 28th and 29th and 30th of June, where we head towards Most in the Czech Republic for our first ever visit to the Czech Republic. Then we are in the middle of July off to the only oval event, which is at Venray in the Netherlands, and then the playoffs, which count for double points in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. First set of playoffs take place at Hockenheim in Germany on the 20th, 21st and 22nd of September, before a couple of weekends later we conclude the championship season on the 4th, the 5th and the 6th of October at Belgium and Zolder. What I thought were tyre marks from the back of Navortalo's car are now having quick dry dust put down on them, which suggests that, yeah, something has gone wrong with that. Yeah, and they're even on the start-finish line, right? So putting 2 and 2 together and hopefully getting 4 on the basis of that there's oil has been distributed on the start-finish line. I'm guessing something went bang. Navortalo understandably was travelling at some pace when it all went bang, and therefore got towards Paddock Hill Bend with probably oil going on to the rear of the car, span on his own oil. That was the dust in the sky, and as a result of that oil and the gravelly moments, then the spin and the car ground to a halt, and hence why now they are putting more quick dry down at where the car has ended up. So that brings a halt to the session. The red flags came out when there were 11 minutes and 56 seconds to go. So that should hopefully be the remaining amount of time that's left for the drivers to pop their quick times in. We can see them all sitting patiently in pit lane. But for the drivers in pit lane, you can see they are at the moment in the sunshine, which inside a warm race car with the heat soak coming out of the engine and the transmission and the crash helmet on with your balaclava and all of the race suits, they are going to be very warm drivers there. The number 78 car, however, of Jerry de Vert, I've noticed, was still near the garage and therefore in the shade, which might at least offer him a little bit more comfort in that car. So the Solaris Motorsport Chevrolet Camaro about to be hoisted away by the recovery unit. Navortalo, crash helmet on, looking on. And for the Solaris Motorsport team and the team patron Francesco Sini, that gives the crew a chunk of work to do to, I would imagine, if the engine's let go, there's very little choice but to change the engine on it. If it's something like a gearbox, then it's still not a small amount of work to try and get covered off and sorted before our first race of the day. And that is scheduled again to be streamed live. All of the racing will be streamed live, as well as this qualifying session, our first race of the day. If you're watching in the UK, then we get our Elite 1 race underway, to be absolutely precise, at 13:13, so 13 minutes past 1 o'clock British summer time. If you're watching in Europe, thanks for joining us. It will be 14:13 Central European summer time, or 2:13 in the afternoon. And if you're watching this qualifying session in America, thank you so much for getting up so early in the morning to watch the qualifying session. But you can go back to bed for a few hours at the end of this qualifying session, because we are scheduled to go live with our first Elite 1 race of the day at 8:13 Eastern time in the US. So yeah, don't go anywhere, just set your alarm and get back up, because without question Brands Hatch year after year after year serves up some of the very best NASCAR Whelen Euro Series racing, and the atmosphere here is already electric. You can sort of feel the crowd and the passion that the British fans have for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. So we can hopefully get the crowd involved over the course of the weekend. We'll see some great stuff from some of the crowds. We've already had, though, a couple of races so far this year, so now might be, whilst we're doing a little bit of clearing up before the session gets underway, let's have a quick look back so far at what happened in the first two races of the season that we had at Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia. So there was the action that we had on the Saturday races for both the Elite 1 and the Elite 2 division at both Valencia and Franciacorta, and we're going to see similar action here today as well, because it's the Saturday of our Brands Hatch event. You can see all of the quick dry has now been put down there at Paddock Hill Bend, and number 12 Solaris Motorsport Chevrolet Camaro of Neve Talor has now been brought back into the pit lane area, which means that I think the circuit is as good as ready to go back to green again. There were 11 minutes and 56 seconds on the clock at the point that the red flags came out, and as the Chevy makes its way on the back of the flatbed recovery unit back into pit road, there'll be work having to be done and investigations needed first of all to see exactly what the problem was for that car. And now that is out of harm's way, we can see the queue of cars sitting there rather patiently in the pit lane, keen for the green flag to come back out so that it can get things back underway. At the point that the red flags came out, Freddie Nordstrom topped the times at the wheel of the number 11 PK Car Sport Chevy with a 49.529 second lap. So we can see the queue, most of the cars now formed up in the queue. the odd one or two still opting for the shade, the relative shade of the garage. And hopefully for not too much longer we'll be able to get this session underway. Question that's come in off the internet as well, so thank you for sending them in. Please do send them through as well. Somebody asking what track I'm looking forward to the most this year. Well, they are all fantastic. Brands Hatch for me is my home NASCAR Grand Prix. I spend a lot of time at Brands Hatch and love the bird's eye view that you get from the commentary box, where on the Indy circuit you can see absolutely everything. But it's difficult to pick one out. I thoroughly enjoyed Zolder and Hockenheim last year, but I'm looking forward to going to two circuits I've not visited before. Most in the Czech Republic our next round, and Venray, that I've heard lots of wonderful things about, even another racing driver who we have seen out in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series in the past, so I can mention him. But he was here testing, driver coaching with a driver yesterday. Roger Bromley, who raced here a couple of seasons ago in the Elite 2 division, was teammate with Bruno Junqueira that weekend. Bumped into Roger Bromley yesterday, who's cut his teeth on short ovals, and he said, yeah, just go to Venray. It is a fantastic event. So in answer to the question, the two circuits on the calendar I've not visited, Most and Venray, and then once we've been to both of those, I'll probably then have my favourite, I would have thought. So thanks for the question, send them in. Green flags though fly, so we can get the session back underway. Of course, the tyres will have lost a little bit of temperature, so for some of the drivers it will be a case of trying to build that temperature back up. Of course, for most of them it will be then also checking exactly where the oil was deposited and how much grip there is now around those parts of the circuits. So if it has affected the track round at Paddock Hill Bend to the degree that times cannot be improved, then it may well be that Super Pole is already set. We don't know. There's still half of the session to go. It will take a while for the grip levels round at Paddock Hill Bend where the oil's been deposited to come back, but that's not going to stop the drivers pushing on. So it's Andre Castro, the American, who's coming to join me in the commentary box for the Elite 1 race tomorrow here at Brands Hatch. At the wheel of the PK Car Sport number 24 machine. Andre, who was right up there in the reckoning in Valencia, but didn't have the weekend in the end that ideally he wanted. There was contact between himself and Myatt Snyder while they were fighting for the lead of the race at the very last corner, and it sort of put both of them out in reality and put them down through the order. So he'll be hoping to hoist that car up through the order. Andre Castro, he's just gone 18th quickest, so he's now starting to find a bit more pace. There is number 99, which is Justin Koontz, the German driver. You see the tail end of the car wagging around there as Justin feeds the throttle in. I was reading an article that Alex Sedgwick had written about a lap around Brands Hatch, and you listen to what Ben Kreener's saying as well with his onboard lap, and they really do have to wait and wait and wait before they can fully plant the throttle coming out of Clearways Corner. It's a wonderful corner, and I can see with the camera angles we've got, the driver's really working away inside the car. Eric Dodonka there, you can see him soaring on the steering wheel as the car underneath him, he just gets the impression it goes from a little bit of oversteer to a little bit of understeer, so the drivers are continually working. It might be a short circuit, but there is very little rest for the drivers on such a short circuit. So even the start-finish straight has an arc to it as well, so it's not really a straight as such. Freddie Nordstrom's time still keeps him at the top of the list currently. Florian Venturi is second, Nicola Rizzitano is third, Giorgio Maggi, Vittorio Carelli, Myatt Snyder, Advait Dioda. Then the next of the cars is going to be Andre Castro. Scott Jeffs just clambers up through the order. He was 16th and comes up to 9th. But here is the number 24 of Andre Castro, currently 8th quickest, the American. Again, you can see him working at the wheel, trying to keep the tail end of the PK Car Sport Chevy under his spell. And what does the time look like for Andre Castro as he heads over the start-finish line? Is it an improvement? Yes, it is. He goes up one place, so up to 7th position. And again, you can see just where that oil is deposited is absolutely on the racing line there at Paddock Hill Bend. So the driver's doing well to find improved times in the case of Andre Castro and Scott Jeffs. Others still haven't quite either got the level of grip they want or the confidence to push it as hard as possible through that section of the circuit. Castro just managing to squeeze his way past Michael Bleekie-Molen's car. He's the ex-Formula 1 driver from the 1970s, but lots and lots of other experience, particularly in sports cars, Michael Bleekie-Molen. He is also the oldest driver we've got in the field, but is 11th quickest, so fantastic stuff from the 69-year-old. 7.5 minutes of the session to go. Here is number 90, Scott Jeffs, who hoisted himself up from in the mid-teens to 9th last time through. What can he do this time, the former Mini Challenge UK champion? Raced in the JCW class for the last couple of years. Was in the open category prior to that, where he claimed the championship, and he's about to head over the start-finish line now and goes third quickest. Fantastic lap from Scott Jeffs and Brax Racing, taking over that car from Alex Sedgwick, a circuit he knows well. Scott Jeffs at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. And, well, can he find any more now? He's got plenty of time in which to do so. Still 7 minutes of the session to go. Nice and neat and tidy through Druids. Beautifully grabs the apex at Graham Hill Bend. Doesn't run too wide either. That looked slightly tidier than turn 2 did up at Druids. All the way out to the edge of the tarmac, through Surtees, up towards McLaren, where you then need to almost get the car braking in a straight line as you work from one side of the circuit to the other, and then squeeze the throttle as you come out of Clearwise and up towards Clark Curve. Another 1.2 miles about to be completed for Scott Jeffs. Jeffs, is it good enough for the fastest time in this session? It is not on that occasion. A slightly slower lap. There was not a great deal looked wrong with it, other than Druids probably was just slightly untidy, I would have thought, on that lap. But either way, Scott Jeffs at the moment, that should be enough for him to head through to Superpole. So if I were Scott, I'd probably park it at the end of this lap. We've already seen Freddie Nordstrom and Florian Venturi, who are first and second in this session, head into the pit lane to save their tyres for Superpole. Ben Kriener is now up into 11th place, the young Scotsman. So he had his first ever car race the day after his 16th birthday. That was only in March. And finished third in that at Silverstone. Most of his other race experience has been e-racing. In reality, he's spent many an hour on simulators, and even yesterday, an amazing thing that Ben Kriener got out of the car, having had his first ever race laps around here at Brands Hatch, got out of the car and said to his father, "Wow, Paddock Hill Bend is steep," largely because on a simulator you don't get the true impression of the gradient of the corners here on the Indy circuit at Brands. So that was his first reaction, and the number 33 Mitsubishi Motors car going well. He's now on the bubble again in reality. 5 minutes to go. He's dropped down into 12th, as has been good improvement there for the number 2 car in the hands of Jesse Vartinen, the Finnish rookie. So he's now up into 11th. Kriener at the wheel of that number 33 car drops down into 12th. Is he going to hang on to a place that's good enough to see him through into Superpole? Well, we'll find out in the next 5 minutes. That is absolutely for sure. The top 9 cars are all in the pits at the moment, so they are all saving tyres. As I thought would happen, the quickest car that's out there, that is... In fact, no, Giorgio Maggi's just come out of the pits, actually, so he's back out of the pits. Here comes number 2, which is Jesse Vartinen. What is he going to do? Is he going to work his way up from 12th further up through the order? No, couldn't on that occasion, so the Alex Caffey Racing Chevrolet Camaro still remains in 12th place as the last of the cars to see it through into Superpole currently. Ben Kriener has now dropped out of the Superpole places, so needs to find more if he wants to go through. Vartinen nice and neat and tidy. We saw Jesse Vartinen do a couple of races in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series race last year. He did both races at Hockenheim, but prior to that has done a good chunk of racing in the Camaro Cup Finland, has Jesse Vartinen. At the moment he is holding the last place in Superpole. Improvement there, Sean Hollenby, very much a local man, briefly up into 14th, back down, briefly up into 13th, back down into 14th as Ben Kriener finds more pace. 19 heading through, which is Alessandro Brigatti. He's in 11th place at the wheel of his Racers Motorsport number 19 car. That's the Chevrolet Camaro just heading towards us now. So Alessandro Brigatti, what can he do? He is in 11th place, now drops down into 12th place, as we've had an improvement for Thomas Krasinis, who again is another driver who will have experienced Brands Hatch in the past. Greek by nationality, but we saw a chunk of him racing in the Junior Saloon Car Championship in the UK over the course of the previous few years. So Krasinis now moves up from 19th to 11th, which means that Alessandro Brigatti now is the man who is walking the tightrope as such, with just 2 3/4 minutes to go before the checkered flag falls. Are we going to see any more upset? Here comes number 46, Sean Hollenby, who will be desperate to try and get through to Superpole at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. driver that we've seen racing in British touring cars in the past. There is Thomas Krasinas at the wheel of his number 1 Alex Caffey Racing Ford Mustang. Are we going to see any more change in the order from those? Doesn't look as though the lap times are now getting better for many people. Most of them seem to have peaked with their lap times at this stage, as more laps go on the tyres and the pressure inside the tyre increases, so it just moves it out of the sweet spot. And there's no time, of course, now remaining to come into the pits, get the tyre pressures adjusted and get back out to see if you can pop a quick one in, because if you do that, the clock will already tick to 0. Thomas Krasinas bouncing over the curbs on the way in and the way out of Graham Hill Bend suggests that he's still trying to work hard to try and find a further improvement at the wheel of the number 1 Ford Mustang. Had to try and get past Sean Hollenby's Marco Stipp Motorsport with AMD tuning prepared Chevy, so that might just have cost him a few tenths of a second, and Krasinas, yeah, decides to abort the lap at that stage. So he is 12th. All he can do now is keep his fingers crossed that those in 13th and lower do not find an improvement. There was one improvement last time through, and that was Pierluigi Veronesi, who improved up to 14th quickest. Advait Dioda is 9th quickest currently, the Indian driver. So he has been racing in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series all season, but has switched to the Cal Racing Chevrolet SS for this weekend. Giorgio Maggi jumps up to 2nd quickest. Justin Koontz comes up to 4th. Now the quick times are coming in again all of a sudden by the look of things. Florian Venturi up into 2nd, and we've now got less than 60 seconds to go. So over the start-finish line goes Advait Dioda, 10th quickest. Does he improve? No is the answer. I'm wondering if some of the lap times coming in have subsequently been disallowed for track limits, because Maggi now all of a sudden finds himself back down in 6th place. So I think some of the improvements in terms of lap times have been looked at by the director, and the pressure sensors that sit on the outside of some of the corners here, and if you run wide you hit the pressure sensor takes a picture of your car, and therefore it is very difficult to argue with the race director that you haven't gone beyond the circuit limits, because that's where the pressure sensors are based. It certainly looks as though Freddie Nordstrom, not having driven a car for 12 months, but certainly knows Brands Hatch, is potentially heading for a pole position here, Freddie. Because at the moment, he is top of the times and is heading through to Super Pole. So the pole position will be fully decided in the next 5 minutes, as and when we see these cars back out. So quickest in the qualifying session, Freddie Nordstrom, but of course actually the pole will be decided in the 5 minutes for the Super Pole session that will be coming up very, very shortly. Good session by number 99 Justin Koontz. He will be pleased with that at the wheel of the Deck Sweat DF1 racing machine. His Chevrolet Camaro, 4th quickest. So with the graphic on the left hand side of your screen, the last few cars coming over the start finish line, let's just have a quick look. It does look as though through to Super Pole then, number 11 Freddie Nordstrom through to Super Pole for PK Car Sport. Go Fast Racing, number 32 Florian Venturi, 2nd quickest through to Super Pole. 3rd and through to Super Pole, number 99 for Deck Sweat Racing, the Chevy of Justin Koontz. And 4th and through to Super Pole is the number 90 Chevrolet Camaro of Scott Jeffs. 5th through to Super Pole, it's number 8 Nicola Risitano and his Chevy. 6th is number 50 and the Ford for Hendricks Motorsport of Giorgio Maggi. 7th is number 9 Vittorio Carelli and his Ford. 8th is another Ford, which is number 48 for Racing Engineering, Myatt Snyder, the American, ahead of his fellow countryman, who's 9th quickest, number 24 Andre Castro with his Chevy. 10th is number 31 Advait Dioda for Cal Racing. In 11th place and 12th is the 2 Alex Caffey racing cars. 11th is number 2 the Chevy of Jesse Vartiernan, and 12th, the last car through to Super Pole, is number 1, which is Tom Krasinas, which I think is the first time he's made it through to Super Pole over the course of this season. So missing out on Super Pole, the first of the cars to miss out on Super Pole is number 19, which is Alessandro Brigatti, the Italian teenager who's got lots of experience in kart racing, but less so in cars. Also missing out on Super Pole, which surprises me, number 27 Pierluigi Veronesi misses out. Number 33 Ben Creaner didn't make it through in the end, neither did 46 Sean Hollenby. 77 Freddie Hemberg. Number 18, sorry, in 18th place, number 88 not making it through as well, which is Eric Clement, the rookie who comes from France and has been out racing in the likes of Blancpain and Spa 24 Hour. We've seen him out in the past. 69 not making it through as well, which is Michael Bleaky Molan, and neither did 70 Mirko Schultes, 98 Eric Dodonka, 12 Navetalo, who unfortunately, of course, brought about that red flag. 78, Jerry de Vert not making it through. Neither did Ian-Eric Varden at the wheel of the 23 machine, or 54, Ariana Casoli. And then another couple of cars that didn't make it out. 64, Matthias Hauer, and one car which hadn't really picked up on, because of the 27 cars out there, he is 27th on the grid, yet won a race at Franciacorta, is 66, Lasse Sorensen. So that's going to be an interesting one come the race later on today. Lasse Sorensen off the back of the grid, trying to make progress around Brands Hatch, having claimed a win last time out at Franciacorta. So yeah, we'll look forward to that one. So that gives you an indication as to the cars that are through or otherwise to Superpole. The crowds here still gathering at Brands Hatch. Come 24 hours time, there will be no clear tarmac there. That will be just full of people. Advanced ticket sales for this event are at record-breaking levels, and the weather forecast for the UK is surprisingly good for this weekend. So there are likely to be many, many thousands of other people that opt to join and arrive just on the day. There is Luca Lasser, double former champion, chatting to Matthias Hauer, who rejoins the championship. Matthias looking rather warm, to say the least, having just jumped out of his machine. And it's good to see Matthias back in the championship, racing for Speedhouse 64, the 53-year-old German. Finished 20th in the Elite 1 standings last year. He did the full season with Cal Racing last year and finished 20th in the Elite 1 standings. But it's his first outing of the 2018 season. You can see there just some of the other attractions available, with huge fairground rides. We've seen all of the monster trucks that are still there. Actually, in the background, you could just see them. We've got drifting going on. There's thousands of American cars descending upon it. Even the restaurants and the snack facilities all have an American-themed menu to them over the course of this weekend. It really is like scooping up a little piece of America and plopping it in the middle of the Kent countryside for the annual visit of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. So cars now being readied, heading back down pit road for what is the 5-minute Superpole session. Number 99, Justin Koontz, heading down pit road, driver who finished 9th in the 2018 standings. He was 6th back in 2017. We have seen Justin do some racing over on the other side of the Atlantic as well. He picked up a race in the Camping Truck Series in 2018, just did one race over in America. The 21-year-old German at the wheel of the number 99 Chevy. Let's see as to whether he can mount a challenge for pole position, or whether it might be the likes of Florian Venturi, who again maybe has the upper hand over his fellow competitors. But there are the two Americans. 24 is Andre Castro, the 48 is Mayet Snyder. I expect both of those to be right up there as well. Number 9, Nicola Risitano, claimed a win in Italy. So there are so many cars that possibly could claim pole position here. The back of the queue, we've got Thomas Krasinus and the 31 of Advok Dioda. At the front of the queue, it looks as though, who is that? I can't quite see. I can see the number 32 of Florian Venturi, but I think there's another car just ahead of him. In fact, there is, and it is the number 11 car is at the front of the queue. Right, I've just spotted it now, which is Freddie Nordstrom. So Freddie Nordstrom at the front of the queue, then that number 32 car of Florian Venturi. But who is going to be on pole position for our first Elite 2 race of the day here? Remember, that is scheduled to get underway at 6:28 local time. We go live on the stream 15 minutes before that. And remember that it is slightly shorter distance for the Elite 2s compared to the Elite 1s this year. It's 30 laps, but that's still the best part of nearly 60 kilometres on a circuit which the driver has no respite at all in what are very warm conditions outside, let alone being inside a race car. Chatting to a few of the drivers this morning, they suspect, under race conditions with the 26 degrees C that we're looking to have here as temperatures, they suspect conditions inside the race car are going to be certainly north of 60 degrees, could be peaking at 70 degrees inside the race car, which is rather warm to say the least, which goes to show how fit you need to be. These are physical cars to drive. There is no traction control, there is no ABS. It is absolute pure racing when it comes to the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. But who is going to come out on top? Is it going to be that man on his return to car racing 12 months after his last race here at American Speedfest 6, Freddie Nordstrom? Onto the brakes. turns his way through the left-hander, did a chunk of racing in Seat Leons, both in Supercopa in Europe, raced in the Mini Challenge in the UK many years ago, but has been a regular in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for a few years now. So he's the only driver in the whole weekend that so far has competed in every NASCAR Whelen Euro Series event here at Brands Hatch since 2012, when we became part of the NASCAR family. Over the start-finish line goes Freddie Nordstrom onto what is the first true flying lap, so times will come in off this lap, but it's the lap that they are starting now that he's going to really post the times for the grid. Nice and neat and tidy from the front too. There goes number 32, which is Florian Venturi, looking to see whether he might be able to grab a pole position. Remember, there is no driver in the Elite 2 field this weekend that has previously started from pole at Brands Hatch, so whoever grabs pole, it will be their first Brands pole. Could it be that man there, Giorgio Maggi? We've seen him claim a win so far this year. The very quiet Swiss driver just goes about his driving in a very quiet way, does Giorgio Maggi. A very likeable chap, but he is very, very focused when it comes to race weekends, and at the moment, nice and neat and tidy lap. The quick laps will now start to come in. Giorgio Maggi was topping the times. Freddie Nordstrom goes quicker, but is he going to hang on to pole position? Giorgio Maggi goes through and goes even quicker. So Giorgio Maggi up onto provisional pole position. Florian Venturi second, Freddie Nordstrom third, Scott Jeffson fourth. As Giorgio Maggi heads up the hill in towards the braking area for Druids once more. That beautiful sunlight glinting off the car as he comes down at the wheel of number 50 Hendricks Ford in towards Graham Hill Bend, picks up the throttle again along the Cooper Straight. Car that's ahead of him is Scott Jeffs looking to push on. Here is Florian Venturi, currently second quickest in this session. Are we going to see him wrestle pole position away from the clutches of the Swiss driver? Maggi through, could not improve his time. Here comes Florian Venturi over the start finish line and does briefly lose second place, because Freddie Nordstrom briefly went quicker, only for a split second later. Florian Venturi to go over the start finish line and alter the order back to what it was again. Nicola Risitano, a good lap, means that the Valencia winner, the Italian, now moves up to fourth quickest. Vittorio Carelli is only seventh at the moment. Expect him to go quicker than that. And to the top of the times, all of a sudden has gone Andre Castro, the American driver. His first visit to Brands Hatch, heads on to provisional pole position with a 49.551 for the number 11 PK cars, for the number 24 PK car sport car. So that was a good lap by Andre Castro, and I would imagine he is now backing things off as he still looks as though he's pushing on, so he's maybe tried to get a gap on this lap to see whether he can have one more roll of the dice. I don't think this is going to be the lap that counted, because I think he looked just that little bit slower coming out of turn number 2 and up towards turn number 3. Druids off and in front of him all the way through the gravel, scrambling its way back out is Myatt Snyder, so that is going to undo it rather for the American. That's going to ruin that lap and probably would have put off the number 24 as well in the hands of Andre Castro, his fellow countryman. Vittorio Carelli now up into 5th place. He was 7th, remember, a couple of laps ago. Nicola Risitano improves again and moves up to 5th, so Carelli drops down to 7th, so that must have been a lap time that was removed, because he had gone from 7th up to 5th and is straight away back down to 7th again. The checkered flag is out, which means that, are we going to see Andre Castro hang on to pole position? No, we're not. Florian Venturi takes pole position away in the dying stages. 49.385 for Florian Venturi. And, well, it's Andre Castro. Has he got another lap that he can get in, or has he already crossed the finish line? No, he's not taken the checkered flag as yet. So Andre Castro could do something else yet. Florian Venturi, for the moment, on pole position. Is he going to hang on to it, though? Because Andre Castro heads over the start-finish line now and takes pole back away again. So it's a 49.281 for Andre Castro. A fantastic final lap that he put in to wrestle pole position back away from the clutches of Florian Venturi. And, well, for Andre Castro, that's exactly what he needed. He's had the pace all season. He hasn't had the look. He's had a couple of second places in racing, both at Valencia and at Franciacorta. And, well, starting from the front row of the grid here at Brands Hatch, he will be very, very, very happy indeed with that. So let's just run you through the order then. And it is going to be that man that will start our Elite 2 race from pole position later on. Number 24 for PK Car Sport, the Chevy in the hands of Andre Castro, was fastest in that Elite 2 Super Pole session with a 49.281. Second quickest was number 32 for Go Fast Racing, another Chevy, so it's an all Chevy front row of the grid. Florian Venturi with a 49.385, just 0.104 of a second separated the leading pair in the end. Third quickest is the first Ford that we've got on the grid, the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford of Giorgio Maggi, and fourth on his return to the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, the number 11 PK Car Sport Chevy of Freddie Nordstrom. Fifth for Racers Motorsport, it's under the Chevrolet, that's Nicholas Risitano, the number 8 car, and in ninth, that's where we see number 6, the sister car to it, which is Vittorio Carelli. Seventh is number 90, Scott Jeffs for Brax Racing. Eighth is 31 for Cal Racing, Advite Dioda, and ninth for Racers Engineering. Had that gravelly moment which probably compromised the lap that he'd just completed and the next lap as well. Number 48, Mayat Snyder. 10th is number 99, Justin Koontz. 11th is number 2, Jesse Vartianen. And 12th is that car that's just been pushed backwards in the pit lane now. Number 1 for Alex Caffey Motorsport, Thomas Krasinas. So that is the way that certainly the top 6 rows, subject to any other penalties that might be issued by the race director. Let's hope that that is not the case, but in theory that should be the way that the top 6 rows of the grid line up here, ready for our Elite 2 race that takes place later on this afternoon. So if you do want to join us for the Elite 2 race, then if you are watching in the UK, it is the race or the stream goes live just before 4:45 in the afternoon, so 16:43 is to be absolutely precise the time that the stream goes live. If you're watching in Europe, then it's at 17:43, and if you're watching over in the US, then Eastern time, it's 11:43 in the morning for that Elite 2 race. But prior to that, of course, we will have our first race of the day for the Elite 1 division. So if you want to join us for our first NASCAR Whelen Euro Series race here, round 5 of the 2019 championship for the Elite 1 division, then it is 1:15 as good as here at UK time. It will be 2:15 if you are watching in Central Europe. And if you're watching in America, thanks for joining us again. Go back to sleep for a few hours, set your alarms, and be back with us for 8:13 a.m. Eastern time. So that's all for the moment from Brands Hatch. A fantastic weekend of racing lies ahead, but for the moment, qualifying is done and dusted. We will see you later on today. Goodbye. Good morning and welcome to Autodromo di Franciacorta. Brands Hatch for round 6 of the 2000. Welcome to Circuit Zolder for the final round. The lights go out, the green flag flies. It's all very tight up towards turn 1. Oh, it's close and there's contact. They're side by side. When the checkered flag falls and the race is done, there's always time for celebrations.